Elegance and wealth aren't measured by labels or bank balances. They come from daily habits, subtle yet powerful choices that shape posture, presence, and power. I discovered that being rich and elegant isn't about flaunting. It's about consistency, about treating your time, your body, your money, and your voice with respect, even when no one's watching. These habits took me to a new level, not for status, but for presence, peace, and tangible results. And most importantly, they fit into your routine, even if you're not surrounded by luxury. In this video, I'm sharing 10 essential habits that transformed me from the inside and reflect on the outside. They help me walk with confidence, speak with authority, invest with clarity, and live with purpose. If you're ready to raise your standards without needing to shout it out, this video is your power catalog. Like the video and subscribe to the channel, because what's coming next will remind you that elegance and wealth go hand in hand when you choose to live with purpose every single day. 1. I started walking like someone who knows exactly where she's going. For a long time, I walked hunched over, staring at the ground, in a rush, as if my very presence was a burden. But when I decided to become an elegant, wealthy woman, the first thing I changed was my posture. Because it doesn't matter what brand you're wearing. If your body language screams insecurity, the world responds with disrespect. So in those first days, I started walking more slowly, shoulders back, chin up, eyes on the horizon, and a quiet certainty in my body. I belong wherever I choose to be. It didn't happen overnight, but over time, my posture became armor. And more than that, it became a signature. People started noticing me before I even said a word. I began entering rooms with more power, even when dressed simply. Because when you walk with purpose, you communicate value. Comment below. My posture speaks before I do. If you've also realized that elegance starts in the body, not the closet. 2. I started treating my routine like a wealth ritual. Before my days started in chaos. Phone in hand. Notifications. Rushing. No intention, no direction. It wasn't until I realized that wealth isn't an event, it's a rhythm, that everything began to change. Wealthy women don't live in a rush. They live building. So I began transforming my routine into a ritual. No exaggerations. No magic formulas. Just presence. I'd wake up at the same time. Organize my space with care. Make the bed like I respected my environment. Prepare my coffee calmly. And before anything else, decide which version of me is leading today. That small habit changed everything. Because it made it clear to my mind that I was no longer in survival mode. I was building wealth through how I carried out each part of my day. And you know what happened? I became more productive, less late, more secure, because my routine stopped being random and became a foundation. Comment. My routine reflects the woman I'm building. If you also want to start your days like someone who respects herself and attracts respect in return. I learned to speak less and say more for years. I talked too much, explaining, justifying, trying to seem interesting, until I understood wealthy, elegant women don't waste energy trying to be noticed. They're perceived through the clarity with which they position themselves. So I started observing before responding, breathing before giving my opinion. And when I spoke, it was direct, calm, firm. I realized that well-placed silence is worth more than 1,000 arguments, that those who control their voice don't need to raise it, and that the more confident I became in who I was, the less I felt the need to prove anything. That's when my communication became a power asset. Because every word from the mouth of an elegant woman carries intention, and with that, impact. Today I choose my words with the same care I use to choose where to invest my money. And the return is immediate. Respect. Attention. Silent authority. Comment. I use my voice as a tool of value. If you've also decided to stop explaining yourself and start expressing yourself with presence. 4. I started taking care of my appearance as an act of respect, not vanity. For a long time, I thought getting dressed up was superficial, that beauty was shallow, that being smart on the inside was enough. But when I started studying truly wealthy and elegant women, I realized something. They care for their appearance as a way of honoring their presence. It's not about impressing. It's about representing. So I rethought everything. My clothes stopped being just comfortable and became intentional choices. I picked pieces that spoke for me, even in silence. My hair, my skin, my nails, everything got attention. Not out of vanity, but identity. The way I presented myself to the world changed, and the world changed how it treated me. It was simple. Visual elegance doesn't require fortune. It requires discernment. I began to craft my image strategically, knowing it would speak before I did. close the wrong doors, and open the right opportunities. My presence started to carry more weight because I started to take myself more seriously. Comment: my image represents my worth. If you've also realized that how you present yourself speaks volumes, even before you open your mouth. 5. I started saying no like someone protecting an asset. I used to say yes to everything. Invitations, favors, requests, even when it drained me, even when it disrupted my routine, even when deep down I knew I was betraying myself. It was only when I committed to the elegant, wealthy woman I wanted to become that I realized saying yes to everything is the fastest way to live a life that isn't yours. So I started practicing no, without guilt, without justification, without drama. I'd say, I can't today, and that's not aligned with my current focus. Thank you, but I'd rather prioritize other things. And you know what happened? The world didn't collapse. On the contrary, my time gained value. My word carried more weight, and I started being seen as someone who knows what she wants and what she doesn't accept. Elegance isn't about pleasing everyone. It's about living with discernment, and that takes courage. Comment: my no protects my vision. If you're also ready to stop being a hostage to others' expectations and start truly prioritizing yourself. 6. I treated my money like a rich woman, even before I was. For a long time, I thought, when I'm rich, then I'll take care of my finances. But that mindset kept me exactly where I was, confused, reactive, and not in control. That's when I changed the question. What if I started acting like a rich woman now, with what I have? So, I began tracking every cent that came in and went out. I organized my finances into categories, set simple goals, save a fixed amount each week, stop impulse spending, choose more wisely where I invest my time and money. And the most powerful part, I stopped using money as an emotional crutch. I no longer bought things to numb myself. I bought to position myself. That quiet shift brought me peace. And more than that, it brought clarity. I started having money left over, started planning, started investing, started realizing that money isn't a problem. It's a reflection. Wealthy women aren't disorganized. They're not afraid to check their statements. They decide, manage, and direct with ease. Comment: I manage my money like I manage an empire. If you're also ready to be the woman who takes charge of her finances, even before she has millions. 7. I chose environments that supported my new identity. For a long time, I went to places out of habit, not strategy. Groups that complained about life, circles where ambition was a joke, conversations that made me shrink. But when I decided to be a rich, elegant woman, I realized environment isn't a detail, it's the frame. And you can never grow bigger than the space you insist on fitting into. So I started pulling away, quietly, no dramatic explanations. I just became more selective. I began going to calm cafes where I could think, events that elevated me, courses, mentorships, online spaces where wealth and growth were normal, not taboo. And it wasn't about money, it was about energy, about being where I was challenged to grow. Where talking about goals wasn't too much, it was expected. Over time, my standards rose effortlessly, because my surroundings reminded me every day who I was becoming. Comment: my environment brings me closer to the woman I want to be, if you're ready to stop fitting into places that don't elevate you. 8. I turned my eating habits and self-care into sources of power, not punishment. For a long time, my relationship with self-care was driven by guilt. I ate poorly when I was sad, took care of my body only when I wanted to fix something, punished myself with diets, workouts, or beauty pressure. But one day, looking into the routines of truly elegant and successful women, I realized they don't take care of their bodies out of vanity. They do it because they know that energy, clarity, and vitality are non-negotiable. That's when my whole approach changed. I started eating like I was fueling a valuable project. I chose foods that gave me energy, focus, and lightness. It wasn't about having the perfect body. It was about respecting the body that carries me to every goal. I worked out with the mindset that movement meant self-discipline. I wasn't just training my body, I was building mastery over myself, and that started reflecting in everything, in how I thought, in how I slept, in how I handled challenges. Elegance is stable energy, and energy comes from consistent choices. Comment: I care for my body like part of my wealth, if you also know that health and wealth walk hand in hand. 9. I started expressing myself with calm, an intention I used to rush. Wanted to be heard immediately, interrupted, spoke without thinking, felt like if I didn't speak fast, I'd lose my space. But the woman I committed to being, she speaks with intention, with time, with clarity. I learned to pause, to breathe before responding, to embrace silence as part of the conversation. And the curious thing is, the calmer I became, the more powerful my words became. People started listening more, because now I said just what was needed, and it carried weight. And that calm wasn't just in my tone. It showed in how I wrote emails, how I replied to messages, how I entered meetings without anxiety. Wealthy women don't speak in a rush. They know their words are worth hearing. And that's why they speak with confidence and serenity. Comment, my calm is my elegance. If you're learning that presence isn't about being loud, it's built through posture and intention. 10. I embraced silence as a source of clarity and sophistication. At the beginning of my transformation, I feared silence. Thought I always had to be listening to something, talking to someone, distracting myself with notifications. But watching women who radiated wealth and elegance, I noticed a pattern. They embraced silence, deliberately. So I began creating space for stillness. A few minutes in the morning just with myself. No phone, no music, no agenda. Just observing what I was feeling, thinking, wanting. At first it was uncomfortable, but soon I understood that silence wasn't emptiness. It was direction. In it, ideas came. In it, decisions were made. In it, I realized what needed to leave my life and what needed to come in. Today, silence is a daily practice. It's my emotional detox, a space for reconnection, and more than that, a reminder that elegance is also knowing when to pause. Comment, in silence I find power. If you too feel you need less noise and more clarity in your growth journey. The rich, elegant woman you admire isn't a coincidence. She's a result of quiet choices, of repeated decisions, of habits that may seem small, but build presence, power, and peace over time. Today, when I look at my life, I understand. It wasn't a leap. It was a sequence of actions, boundaries, moves, and mindsets that brought me here. And the truth? You don't need a miracle. You need a standard. And these 10 habits are that beginning. If you stick with them, even without applause, even when no one notices, even on the days it feels like nothing is changing, you'll start to see it. Your energy will shift. Your choices will sharpen. Your surroundings will respond differently. And one day, without realizing, you'll walk into a room, and someone will think, that woman is different. But only you will know the secret. You became that woman, one habit at a time. Comment, I'm building elegance and wealth every day, if this video resonated with you. And of course, like the video and subscribe to the channel to keep getting content that puts you in control of your life. Because elegance starts in silence. But once it arrives, it doesn't go unnoticed.